Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About is a Christian program where we discuss issues bordering on everything, including social issues, Christian topics, and all that. My name is Doreen Kuntomenu, and I'll be your host for tonight's session. As you can see, today we are all dressed in pink. You can see a touch of pink, and this is because this month is October, and October is what? Breast Cancer Awareness. With me here we have Dr. Julia Ito, a general surgeon, and Miss Patricia Isel, who is a breast cancer survivor. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Doreen.
Today's topic is a journey after diagnosis, and we would appreciate if you send in your comments or your questions. We have our doctor here, and we also have a survivor here who is ready to answer all our questions. So I will start with Miss Patricia. Miss Patricia, can you tell us what was your reaction when you first got your diagnosis?
That day, that was the 9th of January, I had run some tests towards detecting what I had presented. And when the result came like 2 days before I got to the doctors. I know sometimes when you're very educated, you want to see everything that comes to you. But for some strange reason, when the diagnostics came, I didn't open. I just sent it to my husband with a password and everything that he should take a look, and if it's a good thing, he should call me. If it's not, he shouldn't, and that I'll go see the doctor. So he called back immediately and said, oh, it didn't look too clear for him. He doesn't really understand, and that it would be best to go to the hospital the next day. So whilst I waited to see the doctor, I just told myself, this is my result. Why are people seeing it and I'm not seeing? So I just opened. And the first word I saw was malignant. And I know anything malignant means cancer. So I didn't even look at what kind of cancer and everything. And that day, before I saw the doctor, was really, really bad. I didn't know where the tears were coming from. Like, I felt like I was sinking, like right in Kolebu. I went to the 6th floor, saw my doctor there. So I started like kind of thinking like, no, this is like I'm dreaming. And it felt as if I was having a huge party. And you know, when you are having merry and then a bad news breaks out or you receive that's how I felt. I felt very, very disappointed. It came with fear. I started thinking about so many things. And the first thing that came into my mind was I was going to die. Like, oh, this is a death sentence, kind of. And then I started thinking like, so what do I even do? Like, you know, I couldn't really figure out how I was feeling. Just thinking my children, my husband, my family, my new job, you know, there was so many things running through my mind. So when the doctor got the result and said, you know what, and he knew I had opened because when the envelope got to him, it was open. And he said, I'd seen what is already in there. And I said, yes, I've seen it, but I don't understand because they had written metastatic invasive carcinoma. So I know invasive means something that has invaded. And so I'm like, Jesus, my cancer had spread or whatever it is had spread. So he just went and said, so you have cancer. And immediately I just melted. Like I just took a huge sigh and kept quiet. And then in my mind, one part of me said, I refuse what you are telling me in the name of Jesus. And then the other part is saying, that's the end. So it wasn't a good thing. But then I had my auntie and my cousin there. So they kept rubbing my shoulders like, it's fine. You see, it felt like I was dreaming. Like somebody should wake me up. Like somebody here should wake me up. And that it was that bad. That bad, yeah.
Dr. Nto, I know that you've probably been in a situation where you had to break the news to a patient. What are some reactions that you have witnessed?
Thank you for the question. She made some very real points in in narrating what she went through. For a lot of people, for most people, is disbelief that, you know, it's a nightmare, somebody should pinch me. So some people immediately they freeze, and it's like they are no longer with you in the room. And so it becomes quite important that you, the person breaking the news, need to be sensitive to the person, what the person may be going through, or the question or the confusion. You know, so some people may suddenly start crying. Some people may start screaming. We've had people who've passed out from the news. I mean, but what runs through is that it's a shock.
It is.
Because even though, you know, like she said, you present with something, okay, and you are told that you are going to investigate and want to see if it's something we should be concerned about, your mind doesn't really go towards, even though they may be anxious and may have even gone to Google and are reading all over the place. They may know somebody who had it, who may have passed or may have survived. But really, when the news is presented, the reaction is, you know, almost unanimous that it's that shock.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this really happening to me? How did I find myself in this position? So they are varied, but the shock runs through, and people's shock is expressed in different ways.
So following what you just said, how do you help patients to understand their diagnosis? What do you do?
So the first thing I would say starts from the very first conversation, where from the word go, it's all centered around the breast. So from the beginning, you don't make any assurances. You're not over optimistic. Otherwise, then it makes the reception of such news, should they come, very difficult. So you need to make the person aware, first of all, that we are embarking on this journey together and want to get to the bottom of whatever you have presented with. It could be benign, that's the opposite of malignant, that it's something that is innocent or is not invasive, or it could be cancer. But the thing is, you wait, let's see what the investigations on the diagnosis comes out as. Now, when we get the reports, because there are various investigations that we do at different levels, but when you get to the point where we are sure of the diagnosis, it as much as depends on the practitioner or the doctor, it will be good if the person doesn't come alone or comes with somebody that can support them. Okay, some people may, if it's a spouse, that's a good, if it's a mother or a relative, a trusted relative, even though it requires a certain level of discretion, because sometimes the relatives can make it actually more complicated or difficult to receive. But the thing is to first of all let them know that you have the diagnosis in front of you, and then you read it out to them and explain what it means. You don't just say you have cancer. You know, you start by telling that it's treatable and all that, but of course you don't make the preamble too long. Otherwise, then they know that this is what is coming, and before you even get to talk, they've already broken down. So it's important to be sensitive, and it's important to pause. If the person wants to cry, you don't condemn, you don't make them feel ashamed for that, because already there's an element of shame, thinking that they may have done something that brought it upon themselves. Or sometimes if they feel that there was a delay and it's going to impact their chances of survival. So there's so many things going to, and in that time you have to be very sensitive. Also, you try to tell them as much information as they can take.
Okay.
Sometimes you may have to stop and not try and load the whole journey on them, the details, because they may not remember. And so you may have to adjourn for another meeting. And also it's a multidisciplinary thing. You may need the help of other health professionals, like our psychologists, etc., who probably should come on board, and then we can sit down and then offer our support whilst breaking down the steps of the journey ahead to the person. So in a nutshell, this is what I would say.
I think great. So she mentioned something about how it's best to have relatives or people that you love. And you also spoke about being there with someone else.
My cousin and my auntie. So when I got there, my auntie was not supposed to be at Kolebu. But when I saw her, I was like, what are you doing? Then she said, she came to see a sick friend, and she was told by my cousin that I'm around, so she came to see me before leaving. Then I said, okay. Then I hadn't heard anything, seen anything, so it was later that I realized that, okay, so you were here because she knew what was coming and my husband had called her, so she was prepared to come with me to hear the news. And she didn't allow me, when I received the news, to go back home, because then, like you're saying, I didn't even have the opportunity, I didn't even feel like asking questions. I was just there, like just looking at the doctor, talking plenty. It was just after I'd done my chemo that I asked what stage I was. I didn't you see, your mind and everything is not about the stage or what you are going to do. It's about, why do I have that? And that was the question I was asking, even right at the hospital. I was asking God, why? And at a point I said, hey, why do you have to bring me this far for you to leave me alone, or for you to allow this to happen to me? So I was asking too many questions that I didn't have answers to, until I was able to put myself together to be able to reflect on some of the things. And I thought that it was good for me, because I felt you can't give me a new job, you can't give me new children, you can't give me, my work with you is becoming better, and all of a sudden you just allow this to happen. Why? When you appear also to be the breadwinner in your family, this is not right. So I told him, and later on I regretted and I apologized that, you see, you are my friend, but we're the one here.
Yeah. So that means it was easy for you to share the news with your family members and people connected to you.
Yes, because when I started the many labs and the tests and everything, I was telling them that, they said I should go and do CT scan, I should go and do MRI. And my auntie was there with me with the husband almost all the time that I had to go and get a test done. So in a way, we knew that, maybe you knew, but somehow you felt, there'll be a way, it won't be that negative. So it was easy to tell them. Some of my friends I had to test and told them. I didn't tell them I had cancer. I just said I've been diagnosed with invasive metastatic carcinoma. So they went and researched, and they really, really broke down. One friend called, very close friend, called and said, I know, but God is. And that was when I said, Samuela, this is not about God. Please, I know that's not what I wanted to hear, because I know God does things, but this one they're trying, and she felt like, wow, you saying that. I'm like, I've heard that one, I know. I want to hear something new. I don't want to, the God factor is there. I have accepted God is there, but that's not what I need right now. But again, he saw us through.
Thank God for that. So viewers, we are still on the talk about a journey through after diagnosis, and with me here is Dr. Into and then Miss Patricia. We have discussed how she felt when she got the diagnosis. We've looked at how a lot of people react when they get these diagnoses, and we've also gotten the doctor to also share how to break the news and how to speak to patients that actually get these diagnoses. So please, if you have any comment, if you have any question, kindly write it down, type it in our comment section. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. We are ready to take your questions right after our break in 12 minutes, but for now we'll continue with our discussion. I will come back to you, then I'll ask, so how did you stay calm throughout this? Especially, you had children, you have children.
So I have one child, and then I have other two children who I'm taking care of. So in fact, I was engulfed with fear and very uncertain with the future. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to understand and what I want to understand, and how the entire process would would be like. I was thinking about treatment, like what would happen and all that. But for me, I was fortunate. I don't know whether it's fortunate, but I was fortunate that that same day the report was read to me and all that. They quickly said, in my case, they couldn't find a lump in the breast. It was just a breast discharge, and that they are unable to find the source of the sickness. If they had seen a lump, they'll just go in and have a lumpectomy done, and then but this time the best option for us is for me to think around having a mastectomy, that's taking the breast off. And I felt taking my breast, that time I was also praying like, God, give me another child, because I have only one biological, so I wanted one. So if you take this breast off, but then I also played with it and told the doctor that, I'm going to register for Slay Queen, so if you take this thing out, how will I then survive? But amidst all that, when I got home, I cried. Sister, I cried. I didn't want my auntie. I saw that she was crying, but she was crying within her, and I didn't want her to feel bad. So at a point, I had to put pillows in my mouth and cry so that nobody would hear, because I felt very lonely, very neglected, like very left out, and that feeling was really bad. Sometimes I'll go under the shower, open the tap and cry so that nobody hears me cry, and then I'll appear to be like handling it well. So one time a cousin said she feels we have to go and see a psychologist, because she thinks the way I'm appearing in public, it's opposite the way she's thinking I should. But she didn't know that I have done the worst in my chambers. And she felt that no, we should go and see a psychologist, but the way I'm behaving, I've taken the news so well, and it wasn't so well taken. Even now, sometimes I still feel very down, where I shed tears, where I play back and feel very, very uncomfortable.
Well, I need a moment. But so Dr. Nto, what kind of support systems do you think we should offer for patients immediately after the diagnosis?
Okay, so I spoke about, first of all, the health professionals ourselves, your doctor or doctors, because then it's usually a team, and then the nurses also play a crucial role in this. She mentioned the psychologist also comes into play, and then there are some survivor support groups where you have survivors who have come together to support themselves, and then also have chosen to support people who have been diagnosed, so newly diagnosed people, to support them on their journey. There are also NGOs who are also interested in breast cancer advocacy and awareness, who also support in some ways. And then, of course, we cannot take away the financial burden, first of all, of the treatment itself, and then the loss of livelihood, at least, if not, because there are some people who don't recover economically from it, because they lose a job and it takes a while for them to get employed, or for some reason may then remain unemployed. But then for the time of the treatment, that inability to earn a living also poses a financial burden to the person and their family. And she mentioned being somewhat the breadwinner. So it's an impact that is felt not just by the person who's been diagnosed, but by their families and all dependents. Because like she said, there are people who may not be biologically connected to you, but all the people who look to you for sustenance are all impacted. So then there are again NGOs and some agencies that provide some financial support for the treatment, and done something for, transportation costs to and from treatment, and sometimes dealing with some of the side effects of these treatments, some supportive, and then sometimes some recreational activities to take your mind off what you are going through, because sometimes you just need a break from the grief, because what she described is actually grief. You know that there are different stages of grief. So we have people that help through each stage of grief, not just for the person themselves, even though everything is really centered on them, but also on their families, because sometimes some people actually cry more than, in quotes, the bereaved. So there's that support that must be provided for their supporters. It's also very important. The children, you have to think about that, because there are some who, if the news is not protected in a certain way where it gets to the colleagues of the children, you have some bullying and some stigma that the children also have to deal with. So these are all things. It's a really holistic approach to the whole situation that must be employed.
Okay, so what advice will you give to family members or loved ones to support somebody who has been diagnosed? Because we know that sometimes their reaction can even get the patient to spiral into depression.
Okay. I remember a situation not too long ago where we actually spent more time with the patient's daughter than the patient herself, because she got hysterical and was screaming, and we had to calm her down. We needed a psychologist to talk to her, because she was supposed to help with breaking the news and supporting the patient. So I would say that with the relatives, then you need to be, or it may not be relatives, it may be a good friend or a best friend or a classmate or somebody, like you said, a loved one, someone you know has your best interests at heart, that they themselves are able to handle the situation as much as possible. But I would say that it's very important to allow people to grieve. Yes, we don't want them to, feel like they are in free fall, like they're falling into this dark pit, bottomless pit, and then get lost in there. That's not what we are saying we should allow, but allow the person to process, because sometimes it takes some time to process, and it takes some people shorter or longer times depending on maybe what you've heard, your exposure to the whole topic, what you've heard about it, what you've read about it, and then also your own temperament, your background, and the way you deal with bad news. So it's very important not to take that away from the person, and then support the person, be as positive as possible. Is very, very, very important, because if psychologically and emotionally you are not in a good place, then the signals that you're sending to your body do not promote the healing and the strength that we need for that journey.
Yeah, Doc, what you said is very true, because the support I received from day one was so helpful. So we have this lovely close family friend, like a more or less like a family, who was there 24/7 for me. If he calls and my voice doesn't sound good, because for me some of the side effects, it affected my voice, so it came out very funny. You would see him at my auntie's place around almost 11 p.m. because he wants to put a face to the voice he heard. People were there for me like 24/7, very encouraged. I never thought, like, I don't think I even heard any negative comment from anyone. It was all positive and very, very affirmative of the fact that you'll be fine. And my husband did extremely well. I keep saying this, he's the quiet type, nobody knows him, he doesn't talk much, I'm the talkative, but then he read every single thing that he needs to read about the disease. And most important, he was telling me, look, I saw this about so and so percentage of people have been well, even those in terminal stages, stage 4, so you do well, like breast cancer is one of the most cured cancers on earth, and all the positive things. And I'm sure he cried a lot, but I never saw his tears. He always came to me very strong and firm. So anytime I wanted to break down, he was there like a shield. And the cry, like the topic would change into something that would uplift my spirit, and I thought that was great. The friends, and in church, wow, I didn't know I have such loved people around me until I got sick. And truly, I knew that, okay, I'm nice with everyone, but I never knew people loved me that deep. That on my surgery day, right from the theater into the recovery ward, Dr. Ifua Dakwa was there. Adukwe's wife, see me forgetting her name, was there, Vestaminu. They were all there that same day. So that told me how people think about you. And for me, we need to build that up in the church. Don't just come to church and go home without making a friend, because people are watching you. They love you. They want that small space to be able to get close than they are with you.
Yes, it's very important to build a great community wherever you go. And I like the fact that you mentioned how the church can also be a form of that great network. Typically, people just come to church and leave because we look at the politics in church and we just want to come and worship and go. But Jesus says we are here to fellowship. And it's not just about singing and dancing, but it's also about this community that we have formed. Because if it wasn't for church, I don't think we will be interacting. And it's great to also have a great support system. Right now, people easily cut people off. Somebody does something and then you just
block.
block. Because of digitization, everything is easy. You can just cut somebody off and you're good to go. But we've forgotten that the most important thing is each other, like we having each other. We are not islands. I always tell people around me that we are not islands. So we will be going for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be talking about treatment, life, when you started the treatment. So I'll give you time to relax. Okay, so viewers, thank you so much for staying with us. We will be going for a short commercial break. Don't forget, we are looking at breast cancer awareness, and we will really appreciate your comments and your suggestions and your questions. I want to also remind you that we are live on YouTube and Facebook. Please send in your questions. Thank you so much for staying with us, and we will see you in some few minutes. Bye.
As Christians, with the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for staying with us. Welcome back. So before we even continue our discussion, I would like to invite you to our service this Sunday. It's dubbed Trinity Goes Pink in line of breast cancer awareness. Just come in a touch of pink. You can wear a pink dress, anything. So a touch of pink, and then we'll also be having a breast screening. So every male, female, nobody is excluded. So we would love to see you. We have two services. So one, it starts at 7:30, and then second service starts at 10:30. So we are extending a warm invite to you. Okay, so our conversation, it has been an eye-opener for me, looking at how sometimes we see and we hear, but this is the first time I've had an encounter with a breast cancer survivor, and also talking to a professional about this. Mostly we see it online, but we never engage. So I want us to start talking about treatment. How was treatment? Before we left, we were talking about when you got this the diagnosis, and I would want you to share with people out there, because sometimes there's a little fear amongst us when we hear about these things. So I would like you to tell us about the treatment and when this happened.
Okay. So for treatment, we had to discuss with us, the consultant. I think there were about 4 or 5 from different level. And mine started with mastectomy. So I had to get my entire, my left breast out, because they didn't see they don't know where it's coming from. So that was the best option for me. And unfortunately for me, it has spread from my breast into my lymph nodes. So they took about 16 of my lymph nodes out, and 5 of them were affected. So it means I'd gone a bit far. And in the process of getting my CT scan done, they also saw that I had a small tumor in my lungs. That the doctor didn't get too worried about, because he says, you know, we know what we're doing. Let's go ahead, because it brought additional fear, because I'd done like 2 chemos already when they saw that. So aside the mastectomy, I also did 8 cycles of chemotherapy, and that was quote unquote hell. That was the most difficult part of the entire journey. I lost my hair. I used to have a very lovely and long hair. My hair came out like uprooting leaves, like grass, like you hold it and then it's off. Just after 1 cycle of chemotherapy, which I was doing every 3 weeks. So the 3rd week, I started losing all my hair, and I lost everything. I didn't go to the barber. I just lost everything to a bowed hair. And then after 8 sessions, then I did 30 sessions of radiation, after which I am currently on Arimidex, because my cancer, I'm told, are produced by my hormones, and my estrogens are the ones that are causing that. So the drug I'm taking is kind of suppressing the estrogens from overproducing or misbehaving. So I would be on that for the next 5 years. But throughout all these, I think the one that had toll on me was the chemotherapy. My mouth got very sore and dark. My tongue became very dark. My nails were dark. My toes were dark. And like when you press my toes, you have pulse coming out. So they became sore. Beneath my leg became sore. My hands were so sensitive that I can't touch any hot stuff. I had 24 hours hiccups and heartburn. So I never slept for 6 months lying down. I sat to sleep. So I put like 4 pillows on my bed, the head of the bed, and then I will lay on it and sleep, because any attempt to lie would bring everything I've eaten, not in a vomit. It will pass through my, like it passes through my head, my nose, like the way when you choke on food, the rice will come. That is exactly how. So I had like over 12 different sides. And fatigue, my dear, the fatigue is not the kind that you go to work and you're tired and you want to come and sleep. It's the one that you are tired for doing nothing. And sometimes when you see water pouring, like if you have a glass of water and it's pouring, you would prefer to allow the water to pour and you clean it up after, because you are so tired. And sometimes you don't want to hear any voice. Like sometimes you don't want anyone around you. You are like, everything is, you lose appetite. When I drink water, and that is when I appreciated water and the gift of water by God. Anytime I drink water, it tasted like zinc, like metal in my mouth. And I never enjoyed taking water. Meanwhile, because of the chemotherapy, I have to take like 4 to 6 small bottle, like the 500 ml in a day, just to flush the thing. And this water is also tasting this way. But I told myself, this water I'm taking is the blood of Jesus, and I have to do that. And when I did, I saw a great improvement. The water did the business. Sometimes I felt like vomiting, but it stayed. And I had constipation. People were having diarrhea, but I had constipation, and it wasn't a nice thing at all. I became like a 90-year-old woman. But when I lost my hair, one thing I told myself was I wouldn't frown in addition to the way I was looking. So I'll put a smile. So I wake up every morning. I'm not a makeup person, but I started making up and taking my own pictures and making my own videos and telling people how I'm recovering by myself. Initially, I wanted to go live, but my husband says, hey, this thing, we've not gotten anywhere. So take it calm. Don't be. Sometimes I'm sure they were worried for me that maybe I was up there going off or something, but I knew because that was what was keeping me alive. So the treatment, and one thing I asked the doctor is, if you have detected my case early, the first result said stage 2, then another, the pathology, the one that when they take everything out, they says that is 3, grade 3 something. So I said, if you had seen it early, why am I going through all the 4 phases of treatment? Because I know people who have just done chemo and it's done, but why should I do mastectomy, have chemotherapy, have radiation, and then be on hormonal therapy? And I felt it wasn't fair. Again, I came to God and said, Master, and then I answer.
Yeah. So Dr. Nto, looking at what Ms. Pat has said, do you think mental health support is crucial during this time?
Yes, I mean, you're talking about during the treatment itself. Yes, it's very important. So the support needs to continue from, like I said, before day 1, what you consider day 1 is when you are given the diagnosis. So from before day 1 right through to even now, like she was saying that she's on Arimidex. She mentioned some very technical stuff. I think you need an honorary certificate at this point. But there are some medications that are taking, like she said, for a number of years, and even that for some people they may have some side effects, some slight or mild to moderate side effects. So the support continues. And she also mentioned something earlier, I think probably during the break, about the flashbacks. So it's a traumatic experience. It's not a road traffic accident or collision or a fall, but it is a very real, palpable trauma. And so it's important that every step of the way the person has that support, so that you can deal with the flashbacks and the bad thoughts and the spurts of pessimism and sometimes the sense of doom, this sudden sense of doom. Like, even though you are getting better, you may wake up with a panic attack, I'm going to die, even though all indications are that people even think that, look, 99%, we are sure you are one of those who survive. So the support is very, very crucial. And I think I want to commend leadership of churches and religious organizations that have rallied behind some people who are going through. I think she mentioned that, and it's so important because all the stakeholders in this are not just those in the consulting room or within the 4 walls of the hospital or any health facility, but whatever group or community that they belong to outside of the hospital is very important, and they definitely have an impact on the treatment. The decisions that people take, even concerning treatment, those decisions are impacted by some of these groups, including religious groups and religious leaders who may not be there in the hospital during the consultation. So a lot of the time, we like to have some of these stakeholders introduced. So we may ask you, do you want us to talk to your pastor or your imam or an ebusia penning, an elder or somebody, because it's very important that everybody is on the same page, and the person already dealing with the internal conflict is not fed externally, that external conflict, and that external conflict feed into the internal conflict that they are already naturally going through.
Okay, so what I'm getting is that the medical aspect is crucial, but also our relationship and the support system really makes a mark in our survival.
Yes.
So how do you help patients overcome anxiety and fear during treatment? Because she was saying a lot of things happen during the treatment. So as a doctor, how do you help patients?
What I would say is key is transparency. You don't overpromise. In quotes, it's better to underpromise and overperform. So you let the person know that these are some of the side effects that you may experience. And in the survivor support system, and in my hospital, for instance, we have nurses who are assigned, especially in the oncology unit, so where you deal with the chemotherapy and all the modalities she's talking about. We have people that follow up on these patients, who are supporting them in real time, before you reminding them you are coming for chemo, and then after, what are the effects. So it's important that you are transparent that these are, because the survivors, for instance, may tell you, she mentioned that most people had diarrhea with one of the modalities, but she had constipation. So sometimes when you hear from other people who've gone through it, it helps you to know that I'm not alone, and nothing strange is happening to me. It's very, very important. And even the Bible says that there's nothing that is happening to you that is not common to man. So if you know that it is not strange, it helps. It gives you that confidence. It prevents you from panicking. Okay, and then when people do panic, they shouldn't be shamed for it. Rather supported or guided through it. In fact, it should be anticipated that there are moments where they will panic, so that it doesn't come as a surprise and a shock and disappointment to you, the support system, that the person is panicking when we've come so far. So I think those are the key points when it comes to dealing with the anxiety. People also look to prayer, no matter your faith. It's important. There are studies on it about faith, and it all fits into that optimism. That is important, that there is something that generates that hope for the person is very, very central to the management of cancers, even in general.
I think with the I'll touch on the prayer bit, because it worked for me, really, really worked for me. Immediately I got the diagnosis, and my family, like close family, got to know. Immediately they called for a prayer meeting. So they asked me to invite some of my friends that I know will stand in the gap for me, because we have friends that when you tell pray for me, they will say okay, and they will go and sleep. And then we have friends that when you say, can you say a short prayer, they will stop whatever they are doing, go on their knee. And so I called those friends, and then we set up, like, it was a whole day prayer meeting. Even at that time, I still didn't, sometimes you feel like there should be a miracle. And deep within me, I thought there would be that instant miracle happening, so that when I go for the maxetum, they will say, oh, we were trying to cut, but we won't cut again and whatnot. That was the level at which I was at that moment. But friends came, some came all the way from the Eastern region, joined the prayer group. So we have that 24 hours prayer chain there. I also had some friends, and I would want to mention this. One of my good friends, Pastor Emmanuel Eji, set up a whole prayer palace, set up a whole prayer altar or prayer team for me, that they prayed from 11 to 12 a.m. for one good week. And his kind of congregation, he won't have time for people like me, but I think he saw something has to happen. And I have friends, like the encouragement were coming, my Bible study group, they were there. Most people in the church didn't know about my situation because they thought I'd travel because of the kind of work I do. But when they weren't seeing me, they asked them, you know, as for rumors, they would go. And I didn't want to tell anyone in church until one lady told me, look, we are here to help each other. I felt it would be too much trouble. Like, this is not a news to tell somebody up. But she said, we are here and we are in it together. So, and we have doctors in the church. So talk to one or two of them and let them. And the support I had was enormous. And that brings me to where I also felt I regretted for not taking certain actions. So around the time I got my diagnosis, there was a member in the church who I saw at the breast cancer unit in Korle Bu, and they had just gotten married. So in my head, all I said was, what is this lady doing here? She just got married and she was around the surgical ward. So is she pregnant and they are coming to have the surgery, blah, blah. I should have taken the step to talk to her, which I didn't. We all wore our nose mask. She saw me, I saw her. We all pretended like we hadn't seen each other until later I heard that she had breast cancer, and unfortunately she died within like 6 months, and that thing hurt me. So I told myself, if I had spoken with her, maybe she would have had the kind of courage that she would know that somebody is going through similar thing. Because me, from day one, I kind of was able to gather some confess more to carry myself along, and I didn't. So I couldn't even, I was sick then, so I couldn't even come for it. But I really, really regretted. And that is one of the reasons why I told myself I wasn't going to keep quiet about it. And I know many people are hiding it, especially people in the corporate sector. They don't want their bosses to know they are, and you can't fight this alone. There is no way I could have done this by myself if I didn't have my in-laws around. They were there, like, you could, every time they were praying. And that was the moment that I personally couldn't pray, because my faith had dropped. Like, you know, you open your mouth to pray and all you do is to cry. But then I had people who stood in the gap for me 24/7, praying every time for me. So I think that once we let people that we trust know, they can hold us by our hands in the journey, because it's a really, really tough journey. I'm still battling with it. I'm not really okay. Don't look at the way the mouth is going up and down and feel it comes with hard times.
Okay, great. I mean, anytime you are done talking, I need to take a moment to also, but we thank God for your life, and we thank God that you are coming up, speaking to us and speaking to the masses about this. We're talking about how we can see that you've really grown in this, but during when your appearance changed, did it affect your self-confidence?
Definitely it did. You know, this is a lady who has a very long hair, and sometimes people come and touch my hair and say it's wig. I never then put on wig. It was my natural, and you know, when I flip it like this, and then you lose it, I felt like my beauty or part of me was gone. Not just my hair, but then you take something that makes me a woman away from my body. Felt very, very unright for me. And sometimes, you know, you pick your dress, you wear your bra and everything, and you are gone. Now I'm a bit conscious of it. I sit and I'm looking, because sometimes it can go like this. You know, the foamy one will come up, and then the normal one will be looking elsewhere. And then I keep asking people, check and see if my breast one is bigger than the other. Like, I'm more conscious about my breast when I didn't used to feel the same way. Even when I put on my hair, I still want to be sure if I'm doing things right. And I still want to be sure, won't people say anything like, do I appear crazy? Do I appear okay? Is it okay to wear this dress? I didn't used to ask people what dress I should wear, but now I ask every time. Is my back showing? And now you can't wear certain things, because you always have to put on like a bra with a stripe, because you need to put something in it. So you can't do the show your back, so you are always kind of covered. So definitely it would change the kind of dresses you wear. Your confidence level sometimes will drop, and especially when people are talking about cancers and stuff, and sometimes they come up with the unfortunate statement and all that. Sometimes you feel this is not right. Sometimes I confront them and say, look, it's not right to say A, B, or C, but that's life. You won't get everything the way you want it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of questions, but how did you rebuild your confidence? Because now that you're speaking to us, people watching would not even think that you've gone through this just barely a year ago. So how did you?
Yeah. I will give 100% credit to God for giving me that strength, because I didn't even know I am this strong. I remember one time when I got the second diagnosis that they've seen a lump in my, there's a tumor in my lungs. After preaching, I just went, as people don't usually go into the pulpit, but that time I brought my results to church, went into the pulpit and cried my heart out. And then I just took a picture and told God that, look, I can't fight by myself. I'm leaving everything at your feet. Do whatever you want to do with me and have your way. And since then, they're crying, they will come because probably you're talking about something emotional, but I'm not crying because I have the disease. At a point in time, I didn't even fear death. Like, I know everybody will die. The only thing we don't know is the when and the how. But we know you go. I am even fortunate to know that I am sick and it can lead me to death. Some people didn't get that opportunity. They were knocked by cars. They just died in their sleep. But at least I have a chance to really look at my life and think through what I'm not doing right, to be able to appear right before the Lord. And He's been gracious. He's giving me that strength. My faith is built up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good, and I don't regret being His favorite daughter. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. So we have a comment by Kukwa Iselado, and she says that total restoration is on its way, my dear. Don't give up. We fight together to the last day. Thank you so much for such a wonderful comment. So we have some few minutes to wrap up. I would want you to share something with the audience, especially those who we are always encouraged to go and get our breast checked. But I know some of my friends are reluctant to go there and get it checked, even though probably there's nothing wrong. But as you said, there's this stigma and this shame and this fear about getting a diagnosis like that. So what do we say to people out there watching, even including the males who think they are not part of this?
People think that what you don't know won't hurt you, but rather see it as what you know you can take control over. You get to make decisions. You get an opportunity to participate in the determination of your future, your immediate and long-term future. So then breast screening, yes, people think I don't want to go looking for something and find it, but it's important that first of all, you, as a person, because you rightly said even males, you should know your body. Not just your breast, know your body. There are people who have been had to be advocates for themselves, even in the best health facilities, because they knew their body. And even though they couldn't pinpoint what was not right, they knew that there was something wrong. And so it's important that you know your breast, know what it feels like. So the self-breast examination, just, every month, just check, so you check, at the beginning of your cycle, and then not just when it's heavy and different. Know how it feels at the different points in your cycle, first of all. And then, yes, it is a good thing to submit yourself to all the breast screening or a breast screening campaign near you, or you can walk into any health facility this October. We have about 10 days left in October. Just walk in, and it's not just restricted to October. October is when we have put some time aside to focus on it and bring awareness. But throughout the year, our doors are always open across the country, across the globe, any health facility. I want you to examine my breast. You find anything that is unusual, just come, we talk about it, and we can investigate, and then you also put your mind to rest. Whether it is the kind of news you want or not, at least you know what it is, and then you can face it head on. It's very important. She talked about early detection, so it's better that you are seen early than later on to be faced when it has spread, for instance, because then the people that really want to help you are somehow limited in the help they can offer beyond, because it's gone beyond a certain level. So please don't be afraid, and also know that breast cancer management and treatment has come a long way, even over the last 10 years, from when I was a medical student to now that I've been, practicing for 15 plus years. Breast cancer treatment has really evolved. She talked about mastectomy. She talked about they couldn't find the lump, others would have done a lumpectomy. So there are times where breast conservation surgery has its place, and breast reconstructive surgery also. So it's not a one size fits all. Even with the chemotherapy and hormonal therapy and all that, depends on the type of tumor, because the breast cancer is not just one kind. There are different kinds and different levels. So please do not be afraid to confront this, to face this, to take charge of your health and seek support from wherever you can get that support, including health professionals and all the people that you love and love you and that you trust.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nto. Any last words?
For me, my last words will go for all survivors and those who have just been diagnosed of breast cancer. Know deep in your heart that it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
And then we serve a living God who works miracles. So he can work it out for you today. He can also allow you to go through the process, but he will still be with you. He's been with me throughout the entire treatment, and he's still with me. I still feel pains in my joint and all that because of the drug I'm taking, but he's constantly been with me, and he will not let you down. So please do not sit home and relent in your prayers, or go and pack yourself into a prayer camp and believing 24/7 that God will heal. Take the steps, go to the doctors, because they are there. They were put there by God so that they can see through your situation for you and give you the right treatment that you need. And also know that you can't take another person's medication. Your case is unique. You are a unique person. Even the thumbprints are unique from each other. So don't go taking other people's medication. If you have issues, run to your health facility and take advice from them. Do what they say you should do. Add the prayers, and you see a difference. You come back to thank me. I love you all.
Thank you.
If you allow me, because this is a church platform, it's important to not see medicine as antagonistic to faith. The fact that you take medicine doesn't mean that you don't have faith. There is a place for it, even in your Bible. If you look at the story of Hezekiah, he was told to take some herbs. You know that Paul told Timothy, take something for your stomach. It is very important. And Jesus himself said, go and show yourself to the priests. So the healing, at the end of the day, that is all that we are all interested in. How it comes, the mode in which it comes varies for everybody. But the most important thing is that you need to be alive to receive your miracle. So if you need to take medications, if you need to be treated to a point where your faith can grow and you can believe God for healing, hooray. But at the end of the day, we are all fighting for the same thing, that you have life and have it abundantly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think our guests have said it all. Thank you so much, viewers, for staying with us. Before we go, I would also want to remind you of this Sunday's Touch of Pink, where Trinity is going pink. This is in connection with the month of October, where we are having a breast cancer awareness. At least one thing that I'm taking away from here is that, one, do not be afraid, because things have been put in place to combat this disease. And then two, God is always with us, that he will go with us every step of the way. So as you are taking the medication, you are praying. And one thing too is the connection and the network that we have. Do not take it for granted. Hold on to the people around you. Know those who hold help you during this time and get things going. Our last comment before we sign off. So from Kuku again, she says that God bless you, Dr. Nto. We've made a mark. Thank you so much. God bless you both for coming. And that is it for tonight. See you all on Sunday. Good night. Bye.
Bye.